everyone. Welcome to the first season of Vintage Club Conversations. Today we have with us Vinod Muthukrishnan. Vinod has had a uniquely diverse career journey, starting out at the Merchant Navy, transitioning into a strategy and global sales role in a fintech startup, before going on to becoming a co founder and CEO of Cloud Cherry, which was acquired by Cisco in 2019. Today, Vinod leads all things customer experience at Uniphore, one of the largest B2B AI native organizations. Welcome, Vinod. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. You make my resume sound better than it is, but I do appreciate it, Manisha. Thanks for having me.
So, Vinod, you have had quite the journey to get to where you are right now, right? What are some of the things you have learned on the way in general?
I always, it starts from my time in the Merchant Navy, wherein, the ship would be like 300 meters long. You'd have a crew of 12, 14, 16. Um, and I think my first belief has always been that a small group of highly motivated, skilled, and mission-oriented people can do anything. Like it's been my lesson in life. It translated to my startup career. It translated to the time I spent at Cisco, back at Uniphore. I've always felt that smaller groups of highly motivated, mission oriented, well trained, of course, that's incredibly important, skilled, people can achieve anything. And I think the delta between achieving and not is how you um, train, motivate those teams, right? um, and that's what it is, which means for a startup all the constraints that we talk about, like we don't have the money, we don't have the people, uh, you know uh, these people pay so much, so the best talent goes there. All of those constraints actually don't exist. So
Yeah.
I think Girish of Freshworks said all constraints are essentially internal. So that I would completely agree with that.
Yep, absolutely. I think all of us just need to make sure that we are steering the ship in the same direction, which is the of the utmost importance. So, as someone who got into the AI for enterprise space before ChatGPT made it cool, how has the conversation around AI shifted over the last few months or last few quarters?
This is my personal anecdote. For all of us who've been in enterprise tech for like 10, 20, 30 years, you'll realize that nobody ever cared about what you did. So when you went back home and you said, I'm building software for X or Y or Z, nobody truly cared, right? Because that's what enterprise tech is. Nobody knows how these softwares work. This is for the first time in your life that your kids, your neighbors, right, your friends, and of course your customers have all experienced the power of what AI can do, right? That was the ChatGPT moment. I call it the mass commercialization of enterprise tech. And you've got to be very fortunate in life if that moment comes in your area of concern, right? So obviously, Unifor, Umesh and Ravi started the company 16 years ago. So uh, we were doing conversational AI before it was a term. Either conversational or AI was a term, right? Um, and I think what's accelerated dramatically is because of the fact that the the impact of AI has become ubiquitous. The boardroom conversation is how you're using AI, right? Leadership teams are being asked, how are you using AI? What's your strategy? And that's actually been incredibly emancipating. And I'll tell you why. Till that moment, people were trying to buy products, right? Get me a bot, get me agent assist. I want better QA, QM. I want sales to use AI. And these were individual buying centers, which means execs were trying to make AI buying decisions. It's essentially not a cheap product, right? So now you're asking for budget and things like that. But suddenly, when the boardroom conversation, leadership team conversation is how you're using AI, large enterprises are no longer looking for AI products. They're looking for AI strategy partners and platforms. And Manisha, we've been in tech long enough to know
Yeah,
what a tectonic shift that is, right?
right. I think not really worrying about creating budgets for every line item and knowing it is the talk of the boardroom actually helps startups a lot.
To your point, yes. I mean, this is the most important. This is the most pivotal moment any company dabbling in AI. As I said, this is the coming of age moment for enterprise AI.
So, since it's the beginning of the year, I would like to talk a bit about your previous year and what 2024 looks like for your sales organization.
Yeah.
So we have all seen that SaaS businesses overall growth was slow last year. I mean,
Hmm.
overall there were a lot of events happened like geopolitical situation, borderline inflation. The growth has been there from a couple of quarters, but a little fragile, right? So there's a general slowness in business.
Hmm.
Keeping all this in mind, how are the last few quarters for Uniphore?
Okay. So obviously, as a private company, I can't share absolute numbers, but I can give you some trending data, right? Um, so, as I said, for us, Touchwood, the growth has been incredibly robust, and the reason is actually quite simple. While enterprises take a fair bit to figure out what they want, what they need, if you have enough enterprise conversations going on over a period of time, it averages out, right? So we actually
Right.
had a very, very productive um, previous fiscal. Our fiscals are a little different. Like our fiscal actually ends on 30th of April. So we are in Q4.
Ah,
So it's not the, it's the last 2 months of the quarter, not the first two. So we are actually in big time close mode. Last quarter was an incredible quarter for us. And I'll tell you what the reason why it is incredible. The innate feature of AI is that ROI is built into the product, right? So I'll take a simple
mm,
example. Let's say you have a contact center with 20,000 agents, okay, or 10,000, just to make the math easy. Now, each agent spends 5 minutes on the phone, spends 2 minutes after doing post call work, right? Now, whether you use a third party BPO or whatever, time is money, literally, in this call center world. So, what do contact centers optimize for? They optimize for average handling time, right? How much time does it take to serve a customer? Now, if you're calling with a complex problem, as a customer, AHT is actually your enemy, right? Or reduction of AHT is your enemy. Because if I'm on the phone and I'm trying to quickly get you off the phone, Manisha, you're having a bad experience, right? So imagine a AI co-pilot for the agent that is listening to the call, transcribing the call, summarizing the call, monitoring the sentiment, if needed, alerting the supervisor to come in, taking key action items from the conversation itself. During the real-time conversation, prompting the agent um, for what needs to be said, what's right for Manisha, what can be done,
mm,
right? All of this happens. The agent is not looking at systems, not making notes, not distracted, not doing any of these things, right? And the agent is essentially able to um, focus on the customer, offer empathy, offer attention,
yeah,
and resolve the problem. And post call, instead of spending time having, first of all, being distracted, making notes, actually have all of that, look at the summary, look at the action item, and say, this is great. Okay, that is a boxed end-to-end experience, right? This has
right.
experience, ROI. You can call it tangible, intangible, depending on whether you have the math. It has an absolute average handling time impact. So now you
Yeah,
go. So let's say your call was 4 minutes instead of five because you could do it things faster. Your post call time was 1 minute instead of two. I'm making these numbers up, of course. You save 2 minutes on a call. 10,000 agents doing hundreds
yeah,
of calls in a day, right? You can do the math.
yeah.
I actually hypothesize that things that improve retention, customer experience, um, um, reduce the cost per serve, improve conversions per serve. I can tell you 10 experiences, 10 examples of outbound sales where you actually improve conversions, right? Improve collections, for example. Any product which offers those kind of benefits in an adverse market actually sells more because you don't have to go justify the ROI. So, given that we're in that realm, we've actually had very good quarters. Our last quarter was a spectacular one.
Absolutely. No, I
So,
think, when it comes to vouchers or customer experience, the examples you gave, there is never one size fits all, right? And AI has actually made it very easy to, not, I wouldn't say very easy from engineering point of view or product point of view, but generally possible to actually give a very customized experience for
mhm,
every single customer, even if the customers are in millions, right? Usually, which is the
absolutely.
case with retail brands. So I totally echo your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. So
So this is interesting what Uniphore is doing for its customers, right? But
Mhm.
would love to know how you're using Gen AI or any other AI tools internally for your operations? Maybe a little more on the sales side. What are the
Yeah.
use cases you're solving using AI internally?
External to the company, we've actually been a little conservative. We were probably one of the few people who said on day one, don't just build a Gen AI demo and just go out and say I've got it, because everyone's got it, right?
Yeah.
If you claim to be AI native and if you claim to be an AI pioneer, you must have an original POV, not a prototype built off of an API that anyone has access to, right? So we've taken a conservative but long-term and significantly more ambitious bet on the use of Gen AI for external facing applications. But internally, like any other organization, for our engineering org, for our marketing org, for our sales org, we have actually set internal goals on what efficiency and optimization the use of Gen AI should drive. We actually have percentages. The first macro goal was, hey, this percentage. So let me make up a number, right? Hey,
Yeah.
40% optimization in X using Gen AI. So now you break it down saying, hold on, where all can I apply it? So teams come back and say, look, I can use it for X, Y, and Z. That's also evolving because this is a day
Yeah.
one thought. After a few weeks of use, you're like, you know what, I can actually do 5 more things with it, right? So that goal is actually tracked on a weekly basis, on a quarterly basis. And we actually had a meeting internally not too long ago wherein we actually saw the results of some of those optimization. It was pretty dramatic. So I mean, it's hardly a secret that a lot of organizations are now seeing that a lot of things that were manual, that were slow, that were error prone can actually be automated and vastly accelerated using Gen AI. So long as you pick the right goals and you pick the right tools, I think the world is there for the taking.
Right. So I think Gen AI being conversation of every boardroom is also true for Uniphore. Clearly.
100%. You can't be an AI native company working in AI for 16 years, going and spreading the AI gospel all over the world, and then someone says, "How do you use AI?" Like, oh, I never thought of it.
Yeah.
That's
So last one, but I think most important to look forward this year. Let's talk about the goals and priorities you have for your sales organization specifically in this year. I mean, are you thinking of changing any existing processes or tools to meet your goals? I mean, if you can just share a few examples. I know you mentioned that you're tracking these goals on a weekly or quarterly basis,
yeah,
but what are the top, maybe three things that you're looking at right now?
yeah. By virtue of the fact that we actually have a large customer base, we have a positive net retention and growth, right? You can imagine, and the fact that we operate in the higher end of enterprise, our growth goals obviously are very ambitious. They come from a mix of new sales and current growth. And as a company that's really invested in sales tech, I would like to think from a conventional perspective, our sales stack is pretty good, right? We've got,
Hmm.
I feel, the tools we need. If you look at the priorities for the year without getting into the exact goals that CRO owns, the first goal obviously is a very quantifiable, tangible goal. We have a very, very, very aggressive growth goal, top line growth goal, right? There's
Yeah.
just no two ways about it, right? Um, that's number one. The other goal obviously is we have a net retention and account expansion kind of a
Hmm.
growth goal, because I generally feel that every enterprise you work with, once you become a partner, there's just so much business to be done with them. And I don't mean it very transactionally. What I mean is we've seen with enterprises where we've gone in, we've given them the comfort and the confidence that they're dealing with a significant, credible player. Customers have conversations with you and say, okay, you know what, I'm solving for these three problems. And we are very honest about, look, that's a problem we don't solve, right? And
Yeah.
as your partner, I'm happy to. There's one customer of ours um, where we're actually helping them pick something else, which is, hey, if you want to solve for all of these are the buckets we can completely nail. The others we don't, but we are happy to offer you a perspective because all of these technologies come together to deliver
Yeah.
what you need, right? So, so we obviously have a growth goal. We have an internal growth goal, account expansion goal. We have a net new growth goal, but and obviously there's a hiring goal. Right? Very important to get
Yeah.
the right people in place. Training, enablement. In enterprise AI, you don't sell and deliver and game over. You actually sell a vision, engage a customer, take them along a journey, milestone it, break it down into tangible pieces, because you also need to tangibly deliver something periodically, right? And essentially help the customers realize whatever business goals they had leveraging AI. Customers don't have AI goals. They have business goals that AI accelerates or helps achieve, right? And that meaty middle is, I think, the most important goal for us. Be a trusted partner advisor. There's some proprietary things that I'm not sharing, of course, but you can imagine instead of saying sales and delivery, we are saying sell the vision, a product, engage a customer, align with their vision, become the AI strategy partner, and help them execute on that strategy on a multi-quarter, multi-year basis using a plethora of products that work seamlessly with each other. So, if while I said we have a mature sort of sales stack, use cases that were previously unthought of or unachievable are now possible, right? So, if I were the CRO, or if I walked up to a CRO and I said, I have something that will help your sales process become faster, more intuitive, right? Help you do the right things for the customers, because everybody is hitting the customers up with the same pitch.
Yeah.
If I can help your significant sales force differentiate, if it improves numbers, conversions, speed from one milestone to the other, there is no CRO on the planet who will not lean in and pay attention, right? There's just so many use cases for enhancing sales, conversions, productivity that have not been thought of because they were not, they either the circumstances didn't exist or it was not deemed solvable. So if you're in one of those two, you got you probably got something very interesting.
That's why, sales enablement training, as you mentioned, becomes really, really important. Also, that's why pre-sales teams are so important in any enterprise sales process, right? So yeah, amazing thoughts. I think, do you think we are going to see a bot on buyer side, a bot on the seller side, negotiating with each other soon, and then finally the decision makers coming in to sign the agreement? Do you think that's happening soon?
There's a transactional part to the conversation that I think at scale I see getting insanely automated. But I actually feel the future of enterprise AI is human. That's funny enough,
Yeah.
our sort of new positioning and branding. And we've been at it for a while. It's not yesterday. But the purpose of technology is to make digital interactions more human. That's my hypothesis. I've said this even many, many years ago. The only place a digital interaction is better than a human interaction are in two places. Is one, when you had a very objective need,
Yeah.
right? Which is what digitization is all about. Let's say, for example, you didn't have a mobile app and you wanted to just know what's my account balance. Now you don't want a 15-minute conversation with someone, right? You want an objective question, just answer my question. Or time sensitive, wherein, look, I can't wait. Like, I don't have my credit card's lost. I need to report it as lost. I need to do it now, right? In all other use cases, the purpose of technology is actually to make the interaction more human. Where AI, where automation makes the process more efficient, more human, right? More predictable, more outcome oriented, I see a lot of that happening. So I'm
Perfect.
intrigued and interested to see where this is going to evolve. But we're going to be around. We have inside view,
Yeah.
and in some cases, we have inside the ring view of how AI is going to impact the enterprise. So I'm excited for it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Vintage Club Conversations. It was great catching up with you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.